Welcome to CD-ROMP. This week, we're playing a game where a little boy carries around a dead girl in a Red Ryder thingy.
That only happened for a short amount of time.
Welcome to CD-ROMP, a brotherly stroll through the PC games of the 90s and early 2000s. My name is Bob.
My name's Jim.
And he's my brother. Same parents.
Same Clarence.
Same Clarence. For all you long-term listeners, you'll appreciate that little throwback.
I actually don't know if there is possible to be long-term listeners right
If you're
now.
a long-term, short-term listener,
Yes,
welcome
yes,
back. Jim, why don't you tell them the name of the game, and then I'll tell them how this podcast works.
The name of the game is Sanitarium.
Sanitarium.
Yeah, Sanitarium.
Now.
1998 release. And
Yeah.
that's all I'll say for now, and then you can give the rules of the game if you prefer.
Sure. Yeah. So the way this podcast works, we take turns picking games, and then we have a week to play it. We have to play at least 3 hours, or unless you've determined that you got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Point of order.
First of all, order. Go ahead.
First of all,
Tell the people.
Yeah, unless you get it. Like, if you get it, like, let's say
I didn't say it convincingly enough. Unless you get it.
If you get it, like, let's say
If
the
you
game
get it, then,
is like
you
Wheel
got
of
it.
Fortune.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think after the first hour, you get Wheel of Fortune.
You know,
like as an extreme example. You know what I mean?
But what happens if in the first hour you only lose, and then the 1 hour and 1 minute in would be when you win? Wheel of Fortune.
I only
You say
win,
Vanna
baby.
White. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
I hope at one point we do get to play Wheel of Fortune. That would be fun.
And then you know, there's some vetting that has to be done with the game. It needs to be easily accessible for us, obviously, because the games we're dealing with are older games.
Yeah.
So there is a vetting process involved, but that's the general schema.
Yeah,
that we
so we're
follow.
trying to make sure that we can actually play them. We came close with The Sims to it being an issue,
Yes.
but we did get what we needed. And I did pick, also at the end of the episode, the brother who didn't pick the last game reveals what the next game is. And I did a pick, and I have it all ready to go. I'll have to bring up my Steam at some point with the name, because I don't remember.
It's a bit of a cheeky handoff.
Yes, we grab each other's cheeks and we just get
The
real
way, like so the person
handsy.
who picks the game is responsible for doing some sort of cursory research to have some sort of actual and factual insight into the game and its development.
Right, okay, yeah.
And the other
So
person
this
is
week-
responsible mainly for developing the most and recording the ambiance and playing experience, we'll call it.
So you're saying the times that you do the background, you're not playing as much.
No,
and I have to take more
I'm not,
notes.
Bob. I'm not playing it.
Okay.
You think this is a game?
Well, it is on, and you're near it. You'll say that much.
So the body we call Chim plays it, but my mind.
I'll tell you something about this week. This is the first week that I did all 3 hours in one day.
Yeah, that's
and I'm
interesting.
not sure if I recommend it.
Well, yeah, I actually, pretty much did the same thing.
It was intense.
I did the majority of my time all in one sitting. Yeah.
Yeah, but we hung in there to make sure that we got it all done. I'm learning from my mistakes, and I'm not going to wait until the last day to do it.
Yeah,
But hey,
I mean,
we're people just like you are.
Well,
Jim,
yeah. Would you like for me to go?
you know what? I've got a lot to say about this game.
Okay, all right. So let me explain.
I would love for you to give me a little
Let me
background.
explain all of the information that I could find out about this game, at least
Please do.
easily.
Yes.
Is made by DreamForge Intertainment, not Entertainment, for whatever reason.
Interesting. Cheeky.
And it was published by ASC Games, Alpha Sierra Charlie Games. So those two things
Interesting.
I've never heard of. And it seems like DreamForge Entertainment has not made anything popular before and not made anything popular since.
So wait a second. Did they get bought or something? Or
Nope. They just made bad games before it and bad games after it. And that was it.
Really?
This
That is
game
very
was
weird.
quoted as coming out of nowhere in 1998 and won.
Fair enough, yeah.
Apparently, it was tied for best adventure game or best adventure game for PC.
Who did it
I
tie
guess.
with?
I think it's called Grim Fandango, which happened to be the other game that I was considering playing. Spoiler alert.
Really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
maybe we'll
Okay.
come back to it another day, but I could only find the remastered version of that game.
Okay. So it's won some awards,
One
At
award.
the time.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
award at the time.
and that studio never.
Yeah,
came
that's
out
pretty
with
much
another.
all I could find out about it. I mean, I could tell you who the lead, or at least who was credited as being the lead designer, Michael Nicholson, and the lead programmer Chad Freeman. These
That's
people
classic
have
Chad
no
Freeman
other
move.
notoriety that I could find, and
Fair enough.
I don't know who all the voice actors were and who the
There seemed to be a lot.
yeah, there was a lot of
Well,
we'll get into that.
Let me pull back there, Bob, and I'm definitely not typing right now.
I mean, I couldn't really easily find any more information about this game. Maybe there's some repository of information about it somewhere, but in my cursory glance, because we don't have the intention of this being like just a fact finding and fact listing podcast. You know what I mean? So like if there's information like easily available to us, we'll give it to you guys, and if we think it's relevant and important and fun to go over. But there wasn't stuff that I could easily find about this game or the developer or the publisher or anything.
Interesting. Yeah, I think it's very much up to individual. If it seems like it's easy to find or interesting or whatever, you run with it, and if not, if not, then we'll hear what
here we go.
people have to say. Yes.
Apparently.
Wait, hold on. This just in.
ASC Games did publish Grand Theft Auto for MS-DOS.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah,
but
like ported
that
it, I
was
guess.
the original Grand Theft Auto, which came out, I believe, also on handheld.
Okay.
Not a very popular game. It was that top-down. If you have ever seen it, as opposed to Grand Theft Auto like 2 and 3 and so forth, it was a top-down vision, and it wasn't the same like adventure game.
I think 2 might be top down as well.
That I don't recall.
Maybe not 3.
Definitely 1.
I remember playing the top down one as well, which is a lot like the game Reckless Driving, which took our high school by storm.
Yes, Reckless Driving, the PC game where you just kind of just
driving around and whatever the hell you're doing. Yeah, top down, riding around, top down. Yes. So that was. Is there more ingots?
No, that's pretty much it. I mean, I could tell you
right
a little bit
then.
about the game if you want, or if you would just like to describe it as your experience.
No, I want you to tell me about the game. Frame it for us.
Yeah, so it is a quote-unquote horror adventure game.
Okay.
And it's centered around the character whose name ends up being Max. Spoiler alert.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, ends up being Max.
Yeah. He is...
Which we'll explain.
Yeah. So the game starts out with a cinematic, one of many that you'll find in your experience.
True. There's a good many of them.
There's a good many. And it is very classic late 90s, kind of grainy. You could see the demarcation of every pixel type cinematic. Like lesser quality than like the StarCraft cinematics, if you remember those.
I don't know really how much lesser quality it is.
No,
I thought it was pretty good.
In my head, I could see blending of the pixels.
It is better than
in
Tomb
these.
Raider
I could see very
graphics.
delineated pixels in all.
What year did you say this was?
98.
98. Okay, so that's kind of far along in terms of our timeline. I can't remember off the top of my head when Tomb Raider is, but it looked better than Tomb Raider.
No, Tomb Raider was like 95, I think.
Okay. Either way, yeah.
I mean, obviously, I don't actually remember, but I feel like
it's subjective. I thought it was pretty good.
Tomb Raider looked like shit.
That's also subjective.
I stand by that.
But I also agree.
So you start out in the cinematic when you're like driving a car, and then he ends up like crashing it. And then he wakes up and he's in what appears to be like some sort of medieval Frankenstein castle. And then
I don't agree with the Frankenstein aspect of it, but I do agree it is a castle.
There's like lightning and storms and bricks. And not necessarily bricks, but like
Jim,
like cobbles.
First of all, it's Dr. Frankenstein. Okay. And I don't know
I didn't
that
give
his
him
castle,
the right appendage or whatever it is.
the monster was not Frankenstein.
I know, it was Frankenstein's monster. I know.
Yeah, I figure you probably did know.
I did.
With you right there.
So that's all
Mary
I'll
Shelley.
give before that. That's like the setup for the game, and then you can kind of go through the experience of yada yada and give the how the game develops after that if you prefer.
Okay, true. Yeah, I think that's the way we've been doing it. Whoever picks the game does the background, and then we switch, and then I give my experience with it.
Let me cover like the basic mechanics of the game and
cover the basic
the
Jim,
visuals and stuff.
Before you do that, do you think you just cover the basic mechanics of the game and the visuals?
Yeah, I said I think I'm going to start with the basic mechanics and then probably the visuals as well.
Okay, that's a good way to do it.
So it's point and click, as many of this games of many of the games of this like year range
genre.
Yeah, I mean genre. It's a point and click adventure game, so the genre, but of the era, I think was the word I was searching for.
Yes.
So basically, there is two buttons, left click and right click, that I found. Left click will let you kind of interact with things, and then right click will let you move, and you kind of hold it in the direction you want to go, and he follows your mouse. Essentially, you have an arrow button to kind of give a little bit more control, and it'll show you the direction he's pointed in. But basically, he follows your mouse.
Yes.
There is a soundtrack to this game. It's a bit spooky.
Wait, are we moving? We're already moving into sound? That's a whole different genre.
I covered point and click. So there's items you can pick up. Items you can pick up. I'm not talking about any specifics. I'm talking in generalities.
Because I've got some specifics. Okay.
That. Yeah, I won't cover.
Should
specifics.
I come back to it?
Yeah, we'll come back to specifics. Don't worry.
Jim, I apologize.
So there are things that you can pick up, and to do that, you like click on the person, then you select the item, and then select the thing you want to interact with. That's pretty much all of the mechanics of the game, unless there's other things that I didn't get to. There is like a lot of music. I don't know, a lot. There's not very many soundtracks.
Hard to tell.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. They're looping, but it's not. They're not very short loops. They didn't like. Well, I won't get into my experience of them.
Yes.
And there are a lot of sound effects, which I will tell you if I do or do not appreciate after you give your opinion.
Okay.
That's pretty much it. It's also puzzle solving to an extent.
Yeah.
So yeah,
pretty standard fare for the adventure genre.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say as much as I can while saying as little as I can. You know what I mean?
Tough. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to kind of go in the order that you did for as much as I can remember. The controls. So actually, you know what? I'm going to read something from the manual, from which I read a lot, which is my want.
There's a manual.
Yeah, there's a manual, and I Googled it. Sometimes they have it on Steam, but this time I Googled it. Okay, so here's some things that'll kind of line up what you said. They said specifically that it was a invisible HUD, and they wanted to allow you to spend more time immersed in the game and less time worrying about how to control it. And so they purposely, at least from what they're saying, made the controls very simple. And I agree, and I appreciate that. The moving around was more annoying than it needed to be. I really was peeved that like you had to keep holding down the right click button and then like move your mouse around where you wanted to go. Like I think Diablo 2 or Diablo, both of them, maybe Diablo 1 came first, but Diablo 2 came after. But either way,
Diablo 1 did come before Diablo 2. I can confirm.
Yeah, thank you for confirming that. But like I think that system of movement was way better. You click on the screen where you wanted to go and then go. This way was fucking insane. I actually don't even know why I couldn't just use. I don't think they were using WSAD at this point, but if I could have used the arrow keys, I would have been happier. That was like my biggest issue with the game, honestly. That was so annoying, especially after a while. It got really tedious, and my fucking mouse would go off the screen, and when you click on something off the screen because of whatever, it's not DOSBox, but it's something like that it was using. They had some kind of underpinning, and it would actually minimize the game.
Yeah.
Could allow you to use other screens, which I thought was interesting. But either way, so I kept accidentally clicking off the screen, or I'd have to move it around, or my mouse was like unhappy where it was. And I was like, this is really overcomplicating something, a part of the game that should be very easy. So that was my beef there. Besides that, clicking around. So the way that it works, okay, most of the time you have a magnifying glass which is stationary, and you move around the screen, and if there's something he can interact with, it goes like this. So you can't see. This is a perfect opportunity.
Well, no, it moves along with your mouse. Was yours stationary?
No. Well, let me explain. It will begin there is a picture of a magnifying glass. And if you're doing this on audio right now, you can watch this on YouTube. Go to cdromp.com and find the YouTube link, or go to YouTube and search for CD-ROMP.
And then look into the future when we play a game and actually Jim remembers to record his screen while he's playing.
Exactly. And
like we talked about a few months ago.
So your whole cursor is a magnifying glass most of the time, and it doesn't move, right? I mean, you can move it around the screen, but it's stationary wherever you are. That's kind of hard to explain, but it's static. And then if it goes over something that you can interact with, it starts to slowly move left and right, and it lights up a little bit, not a lot. So it's kind of easy to overlook when you have an actionable item or not. Yeah, additionally, you're not allowed to physically touch an item until you look at it first.
What?
You have to magnifying glass over something first
right.
before he will touch it. Yeah, he'll have to
you kind of have to
examine it
investigate it before you can interact with it.
Right.
So I realized that thing that you're talking about only through like the second part of interacting, which is like when I had a shovel in my hand or something.
Yeah,
I would see that the shovel would actually flash like a lighter color.
Yeah, same thing.
It wouldn't dance. I never saw that magnifying glass dancing thing that you're talking about. I never saw that happen.
The magnifying glass would go left and right a little bit, and when you finally had an item out, it would kind of slow blink. And that's another thing. So there's items in this game, pretty common for point and click. I really liked the inventory system. I thought it was very simple. I thought it worked well.
Yeah, it was easy.
You clicked on his body, and there'd be little bubbles that show you the things that he has at that point. You click the item, and then your item's on screen. You can use it. And if you click on him, it'll go back. Way easier than a lot of the other games that we've played.
Yeah,
easier than Monkey Island, easier than fucking Tomb Raider.
Oh my god. And they structured the game. They structured the game so that you really only have to use an item once. So then your inventory doesn't get clogged up with shit you've already used, or you don't know when you're going to use it or stuff like that. So it's like once you use the shovel to dig something up, we can talk about what that is eventually.
Yes.
It'll be gone. You won't be able to use it again because it'll have no use anyway. So they just eliminate it from your ability to use it. Which I think is kind of helpful.
I do, and I don't like that. I like it because it makes it easier. I don't like it because then there's no opportunity to use something more than once, and everything's kind of like you only have to use it once, rather than like so that if you have two things in your inventory, you're gonna have to use one of them. Okay, that sentence doesn't make a lot of sense, but. Well, I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I think it's better that way because there's absolutely no direction in the game and it's completely ambiguous. At least the item system, your inventory isn't clogged up with all these items you already have used and you're not sure if you're going to have to use them again or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
It gives you some confidence in the decisions that you've made.
Yeah. And I want to keep not ranting, but appreciating in an interesting tone about the controls. But before I do that, I want to talk more about high level stuff and more what it had in the manual, because I took a lot of notes here. Because I really liked the manual. It was very conversationally written. There wasn't a lot of pictures and there was like a lot of motivating quotes. So it tells you Sanitarium centers largely on the process of learning, growth, and discovery. Okay, that's what it tells you it's about. And it also mentions that there is fighting, but it's not kind of incredibly live action. It's kind of sequence based. So you'll figure out what you need to do, and you have to time it. And there's no HP, although there's a heartbeat to let you know if you're getting ready to die. And I'll fast forward later in the game. If you do die, you get another chance to keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, there's basically no way to game over. It just keeps respawning you.
Exactly. Yeah. So here's the part that I really enjoyed, and it's like a list of things. Kind of putting you in the right mindset for this kind of game. Because keep in mind, this might be the first time someone's ever played this kind of game. Maybe they have no idea what they're in for. Maybe it's their first computer game. They have no idea. So it recommends that you adventure this game with a pad and paper at your desk to take notes.
Oh, shit.
The next note it says here is numbers, numbers, numbers. Basically, if you see anything, any kind of numbers, write them down because they could be useful. It says keep an eye on obstructions. Things are in your way, right? You might need to figure out how to get around them. It says look around carefully. And this is one I'm really, I have many feelings about.
You peeved?
Got a little bit of a peeved dog. And it could be because I'm blind, or my shaky ass eyes. Anyway, it says talk to everyone you could find, which is both interesting and one of my biggest beefs with adventure games because it's going to be so tedious and annoying. It says listen up. Make sure to listen up when they're talking. Listen up. Hear what they're saying.
Here's the thing.
If you feel like you got it.
They talk so slow.
Yeah. Well, you can also skip it.
I did a bit of a skim and skip for every word, for every sentence these people had. It's like, I get what you're saying, skip.
So yeah, at least it allows you to kind of skip your way ahead.
Yeah.
It says make sure to inquire with everyone, experiment, explore, pick up everything that you can. Don't worry about whether you think you're going to need it or not. Spoiler, you probably will. Make sure to pay attention. Try and think differently. And if you feel like you get stuck, save the game, close it out, walk away, come back at another time, which I think is good advice because sometimes you get kind of brain blind and eye blind.
No, I mean, that's good just for problem solving in general.
Yeah. And I don't think that's the kind of advice you're getting in manuals for games these days. if like the newest Call of Duty, if it has a manual. They're not,
I don't think Call of Duty has much problem solving.
But either way, if you're stuck in a level, it doesn't say, listen, if you get stuck in a level, take a break, walk away.
I think if there was like a
change of strategy, it's like, unlock this new thing for $6.
What are you playing? Minecraft?
Yeah, a Minecraft.
What's the Roblox? That's what I was thinking.
Yes, Roadblocks. I play a lot of that. And then the last page, before I stopped, says, which is pretty cool. It's full page on both sides. It says, do not turn this page if you want to explore the first world unaided. So there's a walkthrough for the whole first level, but it makes it so you don't accidentally look at it, which I really thought, thought was cool. Yeah, and I stopped there.
So you want to describe the first world? When you come to, sure. Why don't we give people?
And I'll go up to your my thoughts
experience. Here,
yeah. Okay, so I wrote, and we kind of talked about that. I thought the cinematic when you started out looked pretty good for the time. I thought. Jim says no. Difference of opinion.
Totally it's not the best for the time. It looked like it came from that time, which I actually enjoyed.
I mean, it did. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's bad. I think it was like very fitting for the time, which it just made me feel good.
Well, that's what you want. You want to see. You love to see that. You love to see it. Yeah. So when you start out the game, as Jim mentioned, you're kind of in this medieval tower dungeon thing. And the first thing that bothered me, the first thing I noticed, I guess everything. My noticing is being bothered.
Right. You notice bothers.
And then we talked about this before, but I never bothered to look it up. Isometric, whatever the hell kind of angle is, seems more steep than I'm used to. It kind of like disarmed me, like when you're walking up and down the screen, it didn't feel right for a while.
The screen.
It didn't feel right for a while. Eventually I got used to it. And I had didn't understand how to get into the doorways the right way. I was very disoriented when I first started walking around.
It took me a few minutes to realize that like I could just walk into these doors that didn't seem like they were open doors. And then, like some things that looked like I could walk through, I couldn't. It was a little bit ambiguous, but eventually you kind of figure it out. Because it'll let you know if you can't, like, it'll be very obvious that you can't walk through or walk past something. It'll completely block it off.
Like walk in place. And you're using the very annoying walk movement, which I think.
Yeah, you have to hold down the right click the whole time.
I don't know how they tested that game, and that didn't bother them.
That not even was my biggest problem. My problem was the speed in which he walked.
Oh, he was
so slow.
He was slow, and there was no run.
No, there's no run. Slow. I tried every button on the keyboard.
It's really like too realistic. I mean, I understand like he's walking. Well, we should probably mention we didn't even talk about this main character.
Yeah.
So you start out, this guy, he's wearing like
toilet paper on his face.
Then has a fully wrapped head, like a guy in a cartoon.
The Invisible Man.
Kind of like that. Yeah, full bandages. And he's walking around quite slowly, no shoes on, trying to figure out what's going on. Now, around him, when it starts, there's a siren going on, like, which is pretty annoying. But I appreciated the character mentioned it was annoying. Yeah. It's like, the siren's driving me crazy, which I appreciated.
I also found it kind of annoying that all of the adults that I encountered all talked like superheroes.
Did the main character definitely did?
The main character, and also like the doctor and like whatever people. He was like, I have to go to this thing now.
Unfortunately, let's just not that great of actors.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe they were having it up in person. I think there's a little over. I definitely are making characters.
I just wanted
what do you mean? You have to listen to parents.
What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly like that. That was a good example. So you start out in this Tower of Terror. And fucking some guy is with no shirt on is banging his head against the wall, and there's blood everywhere, and you could hear it thumping like thwack, thwack, thwack. And
he is going like 90 beats per minute, and he does not stop.
Doesn't stop, and the sounds of it don't stop. It's just there, and that's actually the first note I had. I said, "What the fuck?" There's a guy banging his head against the wall. Yeah. And the next thing I wrote was the perspective is a little weird. We talked about that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of talking in this game. And when you talk to someone, a dialogue screen comes up, all of the text per, I guess, turn comes up, and then static pictures of them on each side come up.
Yeah.
Now, I understand there's a limitation there, okay? And they probably did that for technical reasons. But I would have liked if the text would have at least revealed itself in time with the voice acting. Because there was voice acting with all the text, too. And I don't know why. Because all the text came up, and they talk really slow. So I'm already reading far ahead. Because, like, how can I not cover it by hand?
I think it's possible they made the whole game first and then did the voice acting. You know what I mean?
Even still, come on. I know it's annoying to have to do that, but it really would have made a big difference.
There's like a finished game, and then they have to try and add in this like shader.
9,000 children voices.
Oh my god, yeah. Well, we haven't got to the children.
We haven't got there.
But anyway, yeah. So like you start out in this medieval castle with people bashing their faces against the wall. There's people that are like talking to invisible people. There's one guy who's like talking about the bugs.
Yeah,
and then you have to like
losing it.
People keep giving you hints about things. And like every once in a while you get a hint and you start getting flashbacks of your memory because you wake up and you don't even remember your own name.
Yeah. True.
And so there's like a lot of
idea what your name is.
Lot of like short cinematics. So like someone will say something and there'll be like a short like 9-second cinematic and you'll pop back to reality as it were. And then you like continue a conversation or talk about someone else. So you talk to another person, then they give you something else, and then it'll be like the same cinematic plus 3 more seconds.
Right. Yeah. Kind of building as it's supposed to be
which I thought was interesting, slightly annoying. But I thought it was interesting. The way that they did it.
I thought the same thing about that part. And the one thing I really liked, and I think they probably could have done it even more jarring, sometimes in mid dialogue, he'd break into like a memory flashback, which I thought was cool. Like a cinematic would pop up at a point that you wouldn't expect it.
Right. It seemed realistic for the way he was recalling things. You know?
Yeah. And I think they now have a way to do that even more. Like I remember I played Fear once and it had shit like that. That was fucking frightening.
No, I never played that one. It's spooky as well. Yeah.
That was very spooky.
It's an acronym, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It's like self-contained underwater fear apparatus, something like that.
Right, but that's none of those spell out the word.
So the next note I have, there's one guy at the edge. He was like, "Whoa, I'm on the edge!" Yeah, and then this motherfucker fell.
He's just
like wearing no pants. It's like he beefed it to like infinity death. Yeah, so he was dead. And then eventually you're running around looking at things, and the name of the game is, as it mentioned, look good around everywhere. It took me a while to find what I needed, which turned out to be a towel. You had to pick up off someone's bed, which I didn't even know I could interact with because the items in this game are not visually like color-wise distinctive. Like sometimes you can see like, oh, that looks a little too bright. You can click on it. This one's really blend in.
The easiest way to juxtapose this would be in like a Tom and Jerry cartoon when you could see the different coloration in something that's going to be animated and something that's in the background.
Right, because they were totally different things.
And these, they're completely different objects, right? And but in this, they all look exactly the same. But I knew to pick up the towel because I went into the room and he actually said something about the towel.
I think
so I clicked on it and there was a hand. There was like an articulating hand instead of just the magnifying glass. And maybe because I hit the magnifying glass on the towel, at some point I was just clicking with both buttons all the time. Just to see what I could interact with.
I figured out what I needed to do, but I didn't know where to get the item, how to do it. So I tried for a while, and without going into specifics, but I guess I'll go into a quick specific. The first challenge is you have to get across this electrical cable, and he goes, I can't do that with my bare hands. He doesn't sound that crazy, but
he pretty much does, though.
I was like, please, just grab it. Come on. I know where I need to go. And eventually I found the towel. And then I'm like, oh, okay.
I got the towel way first before I ever got to
love a good towel.
Before I got to that side of the map. And so I thought the towel, my first thought was like, all right, here we go. What I'm going to do is put the towel in the way of the guy slamming his head. So it softens the blow and maybe he thanks me and tells me something.
And gives me some kudu jerky.
Yeah, maybe. But Bob, don't bring up the kudu jerky.
I have, since we played Escape from Monkey Island, I've heard so many Monkey Island references, talks, links.
Really?
I'm like haunted by it now.
Wow.
So, I mean, we've already mentioned it. Anyway, we're going to have to go back and play one of the earlier games. Start at the very beginning with the games.
Yeah. So anyway, I had this towel and then I had no idea what to do with it. And I kept like trying to click all over this angel statue that's in like the middle of the map.
Yeah.
Because I could tell it was interactable because he was like, oh, there seems to be a locking mechanism.
Yeah.
But like,
which is very
peculiar the entire statue was interactable, but he would say the same thing no matter where you clicked on it. So I wasn't sure if I needed to like hush out or whatever, some of the candles that are surrounding it or something with my towel.
Good thinking.
Or I don't know what. And then I was trying to interact with the guy who was complaining about bugs. But Bob, There was one guy, I don't remember if it was the bug guy or not, but there was one guy that talked so slow. He was trying to give me information about Dr. Morgan, who like runs the insane asylum. And he's like, please, I can't tell you.
So you kind of benefited there from being able to read all of his dialogue at once.
Oh yeah, but no, by being able to click through his dialogue.
Yeah, you can click through the dialogue. God. I think we mentioned that, but that was very helpful.
Thank God, because everyone talked so much slower than the text appeared on the screen, as you said.
The
text would appear, and they wouldn't even start talking for like 3 seconds.
Literally everyone.
And then I'd get through it, and so I'd be on like the next thing, and they wouldn't even start talking yet.
Yeah, I was reading, and it kind of ruined it because I did want to hear the voice acting, but I don't know.
Eventually you get it, right? Like you get through a few sentences, and especially we'll get to the part where you have to kind of ask a lot of people the same question. So I didn't skip through anything until I got to the stuttering guy. I noticed I could skip, so I'd listen to him for a little while, and then I'd read ahead and skip. But I'd mostly listen to him, and then we'll get to it in a minute when we get up to the next part, chapter 2. Because this game is segmented in chapters.
Something like that.
Yeah, they're chapters.
Is it chapters or worlds? Does it say chapter? Okay.
It says chapter.
All
right. To my recollection, I'm pretty sure though.
Because the manual says world, but it could say chapter in the game.
I think they're chapters.
It could be both,
I'm like 79% sure it says chapters.
Out of all the things that we've soft argued about, this is the most boring.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Let's agree to disagree.
Anyway,
they were chapter worlds.
Yeah, until I got to the second chapter world, I really wasn't skipping that much. But in the second chapter world, you kind of have to ask a lot of people the same questions over and over again, and they give you similar responses. And sometimes it's to your benefit to ask them the same questions even after you talk to them the first time to see if their responses change. Yeah. Or after you've completed some action, there's a new like branch in the conversation tree.
It at least will show you which things you've asked, and then you'll know when you don't have to bother asking it again.
Yeah,
it'll turn
that's
purple if you've asked it, orange if you should or can ask it.
Right. So that's something that I find, at least from memory, isn't very commonplace for the time, but it is now in some of the games, some of the adventure or RPG games that I play now, that it'll show up as like one color, and then it'll show as like a de-highlighted version of that same color,
muted, if you will.
Muted, sure. When you have already asked it, which is very appreciative. I'm appreciative of when there's like a lot of different dialogue choices you can go through.
Yeah, and a lot of characters.
Yeah, and a lot of characters. Yeah.
Because like, who the fuck can know? Like, when there's 90 kids, we keep talking about these kids. We'll get to it.
All right.
A lot of the playtime.
I didn't call them kids, but all right. So you figured out the towel. You have to do a zip line into the control tower. Take it from there, Bob.
Yeah. Okay. So, and very quickly, this is one of the first times you go to interact with an option. It's a VCR thing, and you totally change screens, and your whole screen is looking at TV screens, and then there's some wires, and you have to plug the wires into the right colors. Very simple puzzle, but it's a cool little, okay, let's get used to, you'll see some of these screens, change things up, and there's going to be physical puzzles. This one's very straightforward.
Physical challenge.
Yeah, so blah, blah, blah. I'm going to skip ahead very quickly. You do that. You do some things. You see him being interviewed by the doctor. And the theme of the game is you're trying to figure out, okay, because at the very beginning, he's driving a car away. Like, he seems like he's a normal guy. And you think, like, oh, maybe he was like a detective that was going through the asylum. Because he was saying, like, I think he's like, Jane, I finally figured it out. And then he fucking crashes this car. And then when he comes to, all the doctors are talking about that he tried to escape.
Yeah,
this is like a Shutter Island kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah. So you're trying to figure out...
They probably stole it from this game.
Yeah, right? So you're trying to figure out if you're really the crazy person or if they're just trying to make you think you are, right?
Yeah, you don't know what...
It's essentially a Shutter Island situation.
Yeah. So you go around, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, you get a key. Can't remember how you do it. And you use the key to turn on this giant angel statue that comes to life and starts bleeding out of her eyes.
Yep.
And she takes you magically to the
Demon Town, USA.
To the kind of the first real, because you land in the first or second, whatever the fuck, the next chapter world. Yeah. And Jim, I'll let you frame this because you seem very excited to talk about how strange this game is.
Okay, so you teleport via angel statue to a new small town.
Yes.
And you're transported to like the town square, which the same angel statue is now there, but back in statue form.
Restatued.
Yeah, restatued. And there is a town with just like small kids playing around. But as soon as you get there, he's like, oh, there's something wrong with these kids. Oh, that one has two faces. That can't be good.
Yeah, which is a weird thing to hear. Because the graphics aren't good enough at a distance to actually see that.
Yeah, so they're just kids. They all look basically just like kids. I mean, there's one who goes by Lumpy that you can tell isn't shaped right. But besides that, Lumpy. They look like regular kids.
And the sad part about us laughing is they says everyone calls him Lumpy and makes fun of him.
His name is Lenny.
Yeah.
At least he remembers. But you can call me Lumpy.
I only remembered Lumpy.
Yeah. So basically, you go to this town and it's like completely desolate except for kids, and you kind of work your way around and you talk to them, and they all give you kind of disjointed and mysterious information about how there's no parents anymore. They all had to go.
Yeah.
And ever since like the comet came to town, and then there's this like very ambiguous mother. Yeah. Everyone's referring to it as their mother is telling them what to do and what they can say and what they can't say, and they'll get in trouble for XYZ.
Right.
And you have to do some investigative work to see if you can find some articles about what's going on. Yeah. All these different kids have different deformalities going on with them.
And let me tell you, some of their pictures are fucked.
Yeah, like, so they're all pretty. Yeah, they're all pretty gruesome.
Unsettling.
Right? There's a kid with two mouths.
That one isn't that bad. Some of the
there's one. I think it's like Denny has like a butthole face. There's the girl who's jump roping, but she has two peg legs.
Come on, well they do peg legs.
He's like, that girl has two wooden legs.
And she's like, it's not that bad.
I don't even feel it anymore.
So there's something else that we should note about this whole town, which looks like maybe like an 1800 early 1900s town. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's older. There's like a schoolhouse and shit like that.
Okay. There's a schoolhouse.
There's also plants, like giant, evilly looking vines all over the place. Yeah. And the town's destroyed. Looks like there's maybe been like an earthquake or some kind of natural disaster. And there's these giant vines growing out of everywhere.
Well, it's you find by looking through different buildings that there was rumored and apparently definitely a comet that landed in the recent past that one of the preachers, father, I forget his name, was portenting about, saying like, oh, this is coming, and this will be evidence of something, yada, yada, talking about the whole religion is the result, and this is our punishment, yada yada.
Yeah, punishment for your sins. He was the preacher. O'Toole, I think. Was his
name. Yep. And there was
Jeddah O'Toole, maybe.
No. Jeddah was the farmer.
Okay, I thought the preacher was the farmer.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. That's too many professions.
Continue.
Yeah, you continue now.
Yes. Okay, so you're making your way around. And then slowly things just seem more and more fucked. Some of the kids are just like going crazy. This one kid is sitting in the corner just like sorry.
There's one kid who plays with him. Yeah, there's one kid who's playing with a ball in the stoop. And he's like he's like bouncing a ball. I mean, I feel bad to laugh at him. I don't feel that bad because he's not real. But also, it was an adult like, voicing this child, I assume.
This kid was sitting there like, yeah. It was not good.
Yeah, so you have to go around. You have to go around and you have to talk, presumably, and in actuality, you find out because you have no prompt. You just have to go adventure, right? There's no like HUD that pops up that says. Yeah, it doesn't say like it talks to all the characters to get information about the scenery and the
Yeah,
you just have to do it.
You're just there, and you don't even know what the game's about. So there's not even like this overlying drive. Like, okay, well, I know I'm trying to XYZ. It's just like you don't know. First of all, you're in some place. You start out the game, you don't know what the hell's going on, and your character doesn't know.
You have this cinematic.
And now you're already somewhere else.
You have a cinematic that gives you a purposefully ambiguous and confusing prompt. Yeah. And then you end up in a like medieval castle.
Yeah.
And then you are confronted with a crying angel, and then it transports you to some like Salem, Massachusetts twisted kid town
with the plant kids.
Right.
Well, I guess that's the next step. You slowly start learning, and I guess it's kind of hard to see because of the graphics. But after you can notice it more. apparently the kids are like becoming plant-like. They're being like morphed into plants.
Yeah. So they start talking about how like,
but like the
you
grossest
shouldn't
way
eat
possible.
meat and stuff like that. Meat is bad.
Humans are gross meat.
Yeah, and then eventually, like, so you like don't know what to do, and so you talk to all the kids, and you find out that like Denny is the leader, and so you talk to Denny, and then Denny is like start talking about like playing hide and go seek, and so they play hide. You have to go play hide and seek with Danny.
Literally, at this point,
you have to literally. So then,
kids.
So it kind of cuts to black.
Yeah.
And then all his friends, there's like 5 of them, go hide.
Yeah.
So then after you've investigated this whole town, now you have to go reinvestigate the whole town and find all these little kids that are hiding in trees. There's one kid in a barrel.
I think that was Lumpy.
Yeah, I think, well, that's all Lumpy could fit in, really.
But not all the kids play because the kid with the ball doesn't play.
No, he's right. And also the Denny's brother is too busy fishing.
He doesn't like his brother. He's not doing it.
He's like off to the side.
So Jim, you had mentioned this earlier, and I'd like for you to come back to it.
Yeah, sure.
The kind of ambient sounds of the game.
Yeah. So there's it gives you like a very spooky like soundtrack the whole time, and there's some great sound effects where there's like people screaming in the distance in the mental asylum.
Yeah,
there's like I think like good sound effects with like things crawling, bats flying by. There's crows in this town. There's crow noises and flapping of wings, and I think there's good sound effects where you're walking around and all the kids with their like NPC dialogue with each other. Like there's like the girl and the boy who love playing tic-tac-toe, and they're always arguing about tic-tac-toe in the background.
Did you play her?
I did. I beat that bitch.
It took me a while.
Dude, how?
But it didn't even unlock anything.
First try.
First try? It took me like 8 tries.
Dude, to beat someone
I even
tic-tac-toe?
looked up an algorithm.
No, if you go first, you can't lose.
That's what the algorithm said. But
yes,
it said first, you can't lose. And it said, unless she does middle after you do your thing. And she did. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah. But you can only tie. At that point, you tie.
Yeah. No, but she did beat me a couple times. You can't lose. All right, Jim, I'm not good at tic-tac-toe. Okay, what do you want from me? Is that what you want to shame me?
With, I think it's a known solution game or something like that. I forget what it's called in game theory.
Like yeah, so anyway, that's what we're mentioning that because they were talking about playing tic-tac-toe as you're walking by.
I completely forgot.
Slowly walking by.
And so I kind of noticed that like, so you go into one building and it's the schoolhouse. You go in there and you pick up a crowbar in another building.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's procedural things that you have to do. You find an item and you get to do something with the item we talked about. There's one item you pick up is a crowbar, and you crowbar open the schoolhouse, and you open it up and it's full of dead bodies. And I was like, oh my God.
Not good.
My character, not me. I was like, okay.
You're not fazed by a room full of decomposing bodies.
I'm not.
They're like straight up decomposing too. It's pretty gruesome.
Oh yeah. They're full rot.
Yeah, they're rot. They're getting their rot on.
But then I noticed, like, as I'm checking out like the bait shop and like walking around town, like when the schoolhouse is off in the distance, or like when I'm near the bait shop, like right when I'm like over there and like when the schoolhouse is like barely off in the distance, I can like hear kids like singing things in like the schoolhouse. I can hear them like playing in the school and like during recess and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this is a crazy touch. Yeah. Like, this is really great.
Yeah.
And this is going on for like a half an hour. Like I'll go over to the school and it'll disappear.
Agreed.
But then like I'll walk away from the school, and then I'll like walk back down towards like the town square.
Mm-hmm. Jim just killed a bug, or tried to.
Yeah, sorry, I just killed a bug on the wall. I saw it on my peripheral. And I'll walk back towards the town square, and like it'll start back up again. I'm like, oh, that's such a good touch where it's like they're like ghosts of like dead kids. So like they're not making noise while you're in there, but like you go away and you can hear it in the background. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was a good touch.
Well, did you?
But then I investigated the map and noticed there's just a part where you go down.
I found that by mistake.
I did too.
Because it's like hidden by trees. Yeah, you don't know to go there.
It's obfuscated by trees. There's like a secret path that you go down, and there's a bunch of kids just ring around the rosy a huge pumpkin.
Well, really, I mean, kind of. But the job was done, right? You didn't know where it was coming from. It was creepy, added the effect. And then when you found it, it was even weirder.
Yeah, and you couldn't interact with them at all, at least that I found.
No, he just kept saying, after you clicked him a bunch of times, he's like, the noise, make it stop.
And so I did notice that after a while, if there was really nothing for you to do with like a group of people, it just like stopped letting me talk to them again.
Yeah, agreed. After, I think it's like a mercy, like just stop bringing up the menu.
If there was like nothing else to talk with people about, I don't know, there's a fly again. It's because I have an open beer here and they love the sugar.
Sugar.
There's just like one fly. Yeah, they just don't let you keep killing yourself. They don't let you.
They let
just,
you know that
mercy.
this guy's done for now.
Yeah.
Which is helpful because it wasn't that way for all of them. And some of them, it would let you continually open even if there was no new dialogue. So you'd open it up, you'd take a second, blah, 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 and then you see all purple, and then you exit back out.
I did get to a point in which it stopped letting me talk to everyone.
I came pretty close to that. Some of them it did. Maybe there's a timeout. Like if there's no new dialogue and you click on them three different times, it's like, all right, fucking you had enough there, kid.
Yeah, so eventually you kind of interact with some things and
time to throw the towel in.
You do get a shovel, and I didn't know for the longest time what the fuck to do with the shovel.
Can I say something about the shovel?
Yeah, you could take over. So we were playing. I found all the kids for hide and seek, and then you go back to Denny, and he says, and you can go from there. He says,
okay, yeah, and he says, yeah. So I says to the broad, so he says, oh, you didn't find the last person. She's our secret weapon.
Carol.
Now, Carol. And then, look, and there was no Carol. So that's from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So I knew from reading the things and remembering that Carol's dead. Now, all these kids are alive, but mutated with plants. Some of them have their eyes ripped out. It's bad.
You remembered that Carol was dead?
Yes, I did, because it seemed familiar. And then I went, no, I didn't write that down, but it seemed familiar. I was like, Carol, that sounds like that chick that was killed or dead.
Familiar.
So then I went back to the graveyard and I looked at the tombstones and it says, C. Briscoe or whatever the fuck. And I was like, that's got to be Carol. So I looked at it, didn't do anything. Went back to the person, didn't do anything. Talked to every single person in town, didn't do anything. Yeah. Walking around, nothing. Can't find this bitch anywhere. So that part, Jim mentions that there's a shovel, and you use the shovel to dig up her grave.
Dig up the child's
pull
grave,
out the dead body of the child. You'd only get away with this back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then they're
and then Lunky, or whatever his name is, like
Lumpy
Chunky,
comes with a Red Rider.
He's like, oh, that was my best friend.
My friend's back. And she starts carrying around his dead body. She doesn't come back to life. She's just dead.
No, she stays dead. Yeah.
She stays dead. Yeah, anyway, that part I had circumvented somehow and had done all other different things, but I couldn't fucking get that part, which you need. You need that. It gives you the keys to the general store to allow you to get the gasoline can. Anyway. So I couldn't fucking, for the life of me, I was stuck. I was way down the line. We won't go into every little thing that happens in this level, but here's one of my beefs with the game.
Okay.
I walked over this goddamn shovel without knowing it was there. Fucking must have been 15 times.
I don't remember. I picked up the shovel almost right away. What I didn't realize was the wrench.
The wrench was the same thing. That was the same
wrench
thing.
I didn't see after I was just about to give up hope. And I was like, oh, maybe there's something back over by the tractor.
Well, did you? Well, let's skip forward. Did you finish this world?
No.
Okay.
No.
I will tell you that I did my 3 hours, didn't finish the world, was so enraged that I looked up a walkthrough to find out what I had missed, which was the shovel.
Yeah. So let me tell you because you know the ending to this. Yes. Okay. So I found the teeter-totter you could do to get over. There's a little bit of a gap. There's like a little bit of play horses. You know, there's like horses on a slinky. Those things you sit on, little play toy. If you sit on the middle one, it breaks off and you get it as an item.
The game is
I was not expecting that to happen. That happened by accident. I happened to click on the right one. It was the first one I clicked on.
So if you talk to the kid that's lost his mind, he tells you, and that's how I knew to do it, because he goes like, oh, I like playing with that, but Mr. Piggy's about to break.
Yeah,
and I was like,
you think I'm listening to him?
To break.
I thought he just spent he's a police officer investigating a criminal.
Well, I had read the manual that said, listen, everybody. Yeah, I have written here, Mr. Pig is almost broke.
Yeah, I didn't, obviously didn't read the manual and I never will, but
Well, that's okay. That's we get two different experiences.
Right. So I got the piggy, and then
I just want to mention something about that quick. Sorry, real quick. Here's a weird part of the game. That little bit was like a funny bit, but the funny bits feel very out of place because the whole game is very somber, very creepy, very weird. And every once in a while, he'll laugh about something.
Yeah, but that's That's like a trope with horror movies. They always sprinkle in comedy with like horror movies.
I know, but it just didn't work right.
It didn't hit. I don't think that the jokes landed at all.
No,
I didn't find them to be funny. I was just
like, what the fuck?
I identified and recognized that they were comical in nature. How about that?
And of a comical nature.
Yeah. I have to get in the right mindset.
Yeah. Sorry. So you were talking about the pig broke. Yes.
Yeah, the pig broke. Somehow I got lucky, and eventually I figured out after so much trial and error, basically just using the shovel and everything I could. I was like, I know you have to get over this gap of water, but I don't know how.
Yeah.
I also saw that across the river there was like a stick that I couldn't reach, but it's like, I can't reach it from here. And I was like, oh, that must be you have to grab it or something, and you could pull it down, and then you could cross over. So I thought Denny's brother, Timmy, whatever his name was, if I could get his fishing pole, then I could use the fishing pole to get the thing, and I could rip it down, and I could cross or whatever. Yeah. And eventually ended up just getting lucky. I happened to be just clicking everywhere with the seesaw thing, and I clicked in the middle of the river, and he put it down, and I was able to jump across.
Yeah.
And so now, I think at this point, I still haven't even dug up Carol's grave. And so now I get across, and they've been talking about this pumpkin patch that's like evil. You don't want to go there.
That's true.
And I get over there, and now there's a combination lock to get into the pumpkin patch.
Yeah.
And so like there's like a way for you to walk along the bottom. Like, oh, okay, you don't know the combo. And I talked to everyone already at this point, and they didn't give me shit. And so then I go back, and now there's finally a thing. Now you've seen the combination lock. I don't know what it is. It gives you the option to ask them about it. And
okay.
And so you ask them all about it, and they don't know anything. And I'm like, all right, I think we know what we need to do here.
And what was that?
It's only a 3-digit combination lock.
So you brute forced it?
I brute forced it.
Oh, my sweet Lord. You're going to be pissed when I tell you, because this I figured out
I know. I saw where it was. So earlier in the game, it had said somewhere, I don't even remember where at this point, that it said like, look out for every number or something like that.
Yeah.
Or like pay attention to all the numbers.
Do you mean me when I just said it?
No.
This
it was somewhere earlier in the game.
It was in the game. Okay.
Yeah. I don't remember where it was.
And there's really not that many numbers, at least this far into the game.
No. And after I brute forced it, I realized that it was the address of the church in town, 452 or something like that, 459.
Well, you're part right and you're part wrong. Okay, it's not the address of the church. It's a Bible verse.
Is
listed
it?
on the front side. It says like Psalms 452.
Oh, I didn't read it. I just remember seeing the number. I don't remember. I don't read it.
So here's the thing. I was like, you know what? Got my fucking thinking cap on. So when I first saw it, I was like, I'm going to look this up in the Bible. So I opened up my phone. I pretended I was going to the Bible. I mean, if I really wanted to make life difficult for myself, I'd have to find a Bible. That's what I should have done.
Do you have one?
No, but I could find one. Not quickly, but I could. I'm going to call up mom and ask her to look in the Bible.
Why wouldn't you just Google it? Why are you so opposed
because
to
I'm
Googling?
trying to pretend it's the 90s.
Oh.
Right. Anyway, I broke.
Wait, what's that show? Like I Love the 90s. So that's what I'm thinking of. But there's I Love the every decade, and then, okay, continue.
So I was trying. Anyway, I broke
the 70s.
I love the 70s. I broke the 90s wall, and I just looked it up. And so I thought it was going to have like, maybe some insight. Say like,
profound.
Like the window that Jesus was near was blue. And then shit, it's the blue window.
That's some missed shit.
That would have been tight. Yeah,
that's some missed shit.
I went to it, and there is no Psalms 452.
Oh, shit.
So I was like, this is even more fucking mysterious. And so I wrote it down. Well, you know what else I wrote down? His patient number, which I never needed, but he was patient 227. They mentioned it at one point. I was like,
well, we'll see. Maybe we get to that. Yeah. So basically,
I won't see.
Yeah. Well, we in the royal.
Someone may.
Yeah, royal. So you get into the pumpkin patch, and you kind of go around this thing, and your heart starts beating and starts beating. Yeah. Oh, and as you go into the pumpkin patch, there's a scythe.
Yeah.
And so you pick up the scythe, and you can't even put it away. And I'm
now you're in an action. Now you're in an action.
And I'm like, some shit's about to go down. Your heart starts pumping more and more and more. And then you get to this like clearing, this opening, and there's like a jack-o'-lantern scarecrow that comes to life.
Yeah.
And you have to battle him, which I thought was cool. It's the first time you had to do some like actual battling.
Here's my problem.
Okay.
I like that there was action. The action controls were janked out.
Yeah, of course.
It didn't have to be. I mean, if the moving controls were better,
Oh, if they did, it's hard to move.
Swap in Diablo 2 controls, and now you got yourself a game.
Oh, there's so RPG much better. Movement. Walk, run, you know.
And also that I walked through that goddamn pumpkin patch maze because it's kind of like a maze to get there.
Yeah.
10 fucking million times, and it takes so long every time because I couldn't fucking find what I needed. I was stuck in the goddamn game. For a while, I didn't have the fucking wrench.
Once you get through the pumpkin patch, there's that like bridge that you can make.
No.
Yeah, so you get to once you get through the clearing where the scarecrow is. Okay, so you don't actually try and kill the scarecrow if you can't kill him. What you need to do is kill the pumpkins that are lit up.
I got that.
Like around it. I know. I'm explaining to the people. I know you know.
People. There's okay. I don't know. Yeah, I guess you know that I know. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, so you have to kill. There's like glow up pumpkins that surround whatever the scarecrow.
Now they're glow.
I don't know if there's a word for it.
Scarecrow. Yeah,
he was a scarecrow.
Yeah,
he was like a jack-o'-lantern / scarecrow.
Mm-hmm.
He was a pumpkin head.
Yep, agreed.
You had to kill the pumpkins that were surrounding it that were kind of like laughing and they were glowing and laughing.
Yeah.
And when you killed all those, then he was vulnerable.
Right.
But up to that, you can keep slashing him and it wouldn't kill him.
Yeah.
He killed me the one time.
Factually. Yeah.
He killed me once and then I went back and I was like, oh, you know what? These things came to life when he did. Let me try kill those. Mm-hmm. And it started working. And then, so I got him on the second go around. But then once you get through, I guess maybe because I had incidentally clicked on it before and it told me I can't reach it from here.
Yeah.
That I knew there's like a board that you could slap down and it goes to the back of the general store and you could cross over that way instead of going through the long way through the maze.
I didn't know that. Yeah. I drove myself crazy.
It was bad. I only walked through that maze one more time to see if I missed something because I didn't know what to do with the shovel. So I was trying to dig up pumpkins after that still.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, really.
Right. So then you get to that. And then you come up to a barn, and then you open up the barn, and you see Mother is in there. And Mother is this huge anthropomorphic, like Pizza the Hut character, but green.
Green blob. She's supposed to be plant-based, but she's like goo-based.
But she's like from the comet that you see landed and is like glowing purple and yellow or whatever.
Or perhaps the comet brought the plants to life. We don't know.
Yeah. Certainly, it didn't give me any specific insight.
No.
And then she's like arguing with you, and then she kicks you out, right? Yeah. She's like, "Oh, Mom, I'm gonna kill you."
Well, it's important to note here. She explains that she's been turning the kids into plants to save them.
Right. So she kicked or killed all the parents out.
She killed all the parents.
Okay, she killed all the parents because they were hurting the kids. And basically, like, have you not seen what you humans do to each other? Like, I can help them by turning them into plants.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then it becomes more clear that she's turning them all into seedlings or whatever, I think she calls it.
Various plants.
And and then so eventually now it opens up the next layer of dialogue with the kids, and they all tell you the same thing about how, now you know the secret about Mother.
Mother's looking out for us. Mother's going to turn me into a lily.
Basically the same dialogue, all of them, all like 10 children.
Agreed.
But how they, they side with Mother. She's doing the right thing. Yada, yada.
Yeah, they don't know. This one fucking girl has no eyes.
And then after that, I pretty much couldn't talk to any of them again.
Yeah, you overstayed your welcome. You freaked them out.
And so then there's like a generator right next to the comet. Mm-hmm. And then so I got like some spare parts out of the thingy.
There's a tractor. There's another fucking problem that I have. I clicked on that tractor 97,000 times.
Yeah,
but I didn't click on
like the engine
one
bay.
right spot that opens up where there's jumper cables, and I never.
Yeah, so you get the jumper cables, then you attach it to the generator, and then at some point a wrench appears, which I found out later. I don't know where the wrench came from, but I found the wrench and picked it up.
I think the wrench appears when she throws you out.
Maybe. I didn't see it until I came back like the fifth time. Then you have to pick up the wrench so you can loosen a hose.
Yeah.
So then you can go get that hose and then stick it in the car that you crashed, presumably in the beginning cinematic of the game.
Exactly. It would have a tie-in.
To get gas out of the car, but you get the gas can from somewhere that I don't remember.
I actually think it's pronounced gas con. But.
Oh, gas con?
Yeah.
And then so you fill up the gas con, so then you can go fill up the generator with the gas from that car.
Correct.
And so that's as far as I got. I turned the generator on, and I have the jumper cables.
Yeah.
But it won't let me electrify the comet or Mama. And I don't know what to do.
Very close. You're very, very close.
I tried electrifying Mama, the barn, the comet, the
yourself,
tractor,
any kid who would get close enough.
Yeah. And that was it. I did that for I don't know how many minutes. I tried doing so many things with the jumper cables.
In a game like this, when we're going through these, I'm always thinking to myself, we're getting into too much plot. We're getting into too much plot, but we're almost at the end of what we got to anyway. So it might as well just give you the last little piece.
Yeah, I covered it all. That's the end of what I got to.
So the last little piece to that is, and I'll just to let Jim know, did you see the cross in the river sticking out of the river?
No, yeah, so I did, right? I figured that had something to do with it because it told me that I needed to fish it out of there.
Right.
And so I knew that had to do with me convincing Timmy to give me his fishing pole.
Correct.
But he stopped talking to me.
So here's another thing that fucking annoys me. Okay, so they talk about at one point, there's a bell in town. No one's rang the bell in a while. Bing, bada, bom, bom, ring the bell. I did all fucking time China things to ring the bell. Couldn't ring the bell. At this point, I don't know what I even need. And I'm looking around and I accidentally clicked on a rock. And he goes, "Oh, a rock." And then he could pick it up.
It's funny. As you were saying that, before you said I clicked on a rock, I was like, I wonder if there's something I could have thrown at it. Exactly, and then you go, I accidentally clicked on a rock, and I was like, fucking of course.
So, I mean, to be fair, the rock in question was askew from the rest of the rocks. That was like an outline for like a flower bed. But come on, man, it's a fucking rock. Like, it's not askew enough. And that's something like that really bothers me because you could waste so much time on something like that. And it, to me, is really not fair. Like a fucking rock. I mean, I guess it really comes down to like having to look really well. Yeah, on the screen, which is not my strong suit visually because of the eyes and the brain and attention span. Yeah.
I wonder if it's just what we're used to with current games. What our brain is geared for currently.
I don't think it's what we're used to with current games because this is what we do now.
Right, independent of current games and what we usually play. I wonder if there's any impatience factor to us trying to get a game's essence down and getting through it in like a week. You know what I mean? Like if we were 10 and this was a game we were committed to playing for 100 hours, do you think you'd have similar frustration in not getting it within 45 minutes or the first 3 hours?
The only thing I'll say,
you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you're saying. Because you're quicker on the move, you might be overlooking things more. Yeah. Here's what I'll say. I think the more times I stepped away from the game and came back, possibly, the more chances there were that I would notice something that I didn't notice before. But certain elements just seem so baked into the background that I might not have ever thought of it. And I really hate when I get stuck on something like that. Like there's one part of like having to use your mind and figure out something or at least try it. But if you don't even know it's fucking mind, which is not my favorite thing to do. But if you don't even fucking know it's there, like if I'm walking over it, like if I'm standing on it multiple times, like for fuck's sake, give me a little something. I don't find that fun,
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't bother me too much. I mean, considering how much I liked Myst more than you. Yeah. Like those like very intricate or like specific problem solving type situations don't bother me as much because I do appreciate the reward more than hate the struggle.
But like, is fucking problem solving finding a thing on a screen?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I mean?
So like, so I didn't even think that I should be looking for something to throw at it. I was like, in my head, I kept thinking of a way that I like, okay, now that I've done this, I can talk to Timmy. Yeah. Because his fishing pole in my head would have given me the option to do so many things in the game. Yeah. Because I was thinking, okay, when I get his fishing pole, I can cast it at the rope that they said was cut on the bell. Yeah. And then I could do that and swing it. And then I was thinking about I can get his fishing pole and reach that cross that's in the thing. I thought I can use his fishing pole and reach that board that's on the other side of the river that says I'm too far away to get. Yeah. And so I got too locked onto his thing when I should have been thinking in different ways to solve the problem.
I'm all for making things difficult, and I'm all for puzzles, and I agree. I do like that feeling.
Are you all for puzzles?
Sometimes I don't know.
I don't know if you're all for puzzles.
And I do like figuring out, like, what do I do with this thing here? But I don't know. I guess it's just kind of the genre of pixel hunting, as we've talked about before. Yeah, and for sure, visually outside of games, with my vision, which for those of you who don't know, isn't good, and my eyes shake and I overlook things very easily.
Right, let's not make excuses for why you didn't find things, Bob.
Jim, that fucking shovel. I walked right over the goddamn fucking thing.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I don't even remember not seeing the shovel. I saw it right away. I don't even fucking remember what it was. I saw it right away.
Yeah, but again, I played the whole goddamn game in one day, so I went a little eye blind. So
That's true.
just to skip ahead plot wise, you get the cross out of the water, you attach it to the comet. For some reason, I tried clicking on everything in life, and I said, might as well try clicking on the comet.
And it acted like a lightning rod, and you
connected the jumper cables from the generator to the thing, so you were pretty close. And then it kills her, and then levels
I figured
up.
that was, but it also lit up like the flashing light when I hovered it over the comet. But it said I couldn't do it, and it was so frustrating. Yeah,
it's basically telling you like you can do something with this, but just not with this right now. So. That was the as far as we got, and I really wanted to look through a walkthrough before 3 hours, but I waited and then looked through and we got to the first level. I will say there's something that happened in this game that hasn't happened in any of the other games, and I was intrigued enough to find out what the solutions were that I went over the amount of time just to find out how the fuck it worked. Like I was so annoyed. I don't know if it was because and it was complicated because I was like, I'm so pissed off that I can't fucking finish this that I must know how this comes to be.
Yeah. So, I mean,
and I don't know if that's enjoyment or if it's just like I was invested or if I was so outraged that I needed to know. But when the time's up, sometimes I'm relieved. And this time
I think the developer wins either way, right? So that could be a motivation. Like,
absolutely,
they could have the intention to frustrate you so much that you want to continue to play just to get it.
I was invested.
Yeah,
I guess the easiest way to put it, because normally in that situation I'd be like, thank fuck, 3 hours is done, I can go about my life right now. But this one I was like, okay, do I got a little extra time here? I fucking gotta figure this shit out. And then when I got to the next level, honestly, I did have a little bit of like, maybe I will go a little bit further. Now I know for a fact that I'm not going to pick this game up again.
Waves, right?
because we have other games to play. But it had a good mix of tricky, but like you could figure it out, and I liked kind of the puzzles, and I was just like, what is going on in this game? I kind of wanted to know what was happening, and it was so different. When you get to the next level again, everything like entirely changes.
Yeah, from when I was reading like a brief synopsis of the plot of the game, I'm not gonna give away the whole plot of the game, especially because we didn't get to it. But there's like some sort of Aztec tie-in.
Wouldn't surprise me. I mean,
I don't even fucking know. Yeah.
I think what intrigues me the most is trying to figure out what the fuck is going on in the overall plot. Like, this guy crashed his car. Now in this world that he's in with these kids that are being eaten by plants, you see the car again. So you think this is probably something to do with his past or his memories.
I think it's all just him going crazy, right? He's coming up with these other scenarios, and he's talking to these kids that are being deformed and eaten by plant. I think it's just him trying to make sense of a memory or like his reality around him, right?
I feel like it's the kind of thing where you get to the very end, you go, oh,
I know, I don't think it is.
Because you're like, the
think,
plant
and like
meant this.
when he's dead on the ground, like dying on the ground, there's a plant next to him.
Something like that. Yeah, something like that.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, or the plant symbolizes him choking someone financially or some kind of crazy shit. Like, why is there a dead kid? Why is there dead kids? And like he saves them.
Yeah, we can see if we ever come back to this game, or if it's $10, we'll never get back.
I probably will never get back to this game, but I will say, despite how annoying the movement is, I think that this game current day holds up for a point and click adventure game.
I'd say it's worth playing. I like as frustrating as it was sometimes to move around, considering how slow he walked and how little direction you got. I thought the ambiance, the really weird conversation, the visuals, the total audio experience.
Yeah, it's very immersive.
It was spooky. Yeah, and it was a good game. I think it's a good game.
I think it's ripe for a remaster, which will allow you to override the controls, a little bit of better movement, maybe allow him to speed up a little bit.
So I did read that they intended to make, one of the developers that worked on it apparently intended to make a spiritual successor in like 2015 or 13 or something like that via Kickstarter, but it just like didn't go.
Well,
but that's it. Like the publisher and developer, I don't know if they even exist anymore, and they haven't tried to make a remaster.
Was it just not popular enough with the fans?
It was popular, but they just didn't make any more good games. Apparently, it was a popular game. It sold supposedly like over 300,000 units, which is a lot for that time.
Interesting. It's weird. It's kind of like a lost treasure.
Yeah, I had never heard of it before looking at games from that time zone, which I think is, fun for us to do.
Yeah.
As a function of this podcast. It's like our own journey in discovering games from that time. But we'll see in a short amount of time if you pick something that we have played before or something we haven't. Yeah. Because we've only played before one of these games that we've covered so far. So we will see. Let's get your...
I was having trouble following. We've only played one of these games that we've covered so far. You mean we've only done one
previously,
game? We've done two. Spy Fox and The Sims. Although you don't remember.
I don't know if I've ever played Sims 1.
Okay.
I played the Sims franchise, so that's fair. Sure. So before we move on to what will be next week, do you want to give any other final thoughts on the game? Yeah.
While I try and... Okay, yes.
Wow. Are you not done looking up the game?
No, because the name for some reason isn't coming up correctly. Okay,
well, so that's great. Sure this must be some sort of complicated game.
Yeah. Okay. My final thoughts were... I was impressed how creepy it was. I was really impressed with the immersiveness and the whole feel. I think with some minor tweaks, like we were mentioning, if the dialogue could be matched to the text coming up, if you could change the controls for movement a little bit, maybe in an ideal world, you could get some movement rather than just static images for the faces, because there is a lot of dialogue. I think it absolutely works. You don't need to
even
update
kind of like
else.
If you remember, like in Star Fox, they would just go.
Yeah, I think that would be even.
They would just move their mouths up and down as they talk.
You might lose some of the creepiness if that happened.
Yeah, maybe.
At least in StarCraft, they had kind of these like movements that they were just not static. You know what I mean? Like their heads were just like this.
Yeah, they would like kind of.
I think something even like that would help to unstatic it.
It brings them to life,
Yeah, it brings it to life a little bit. But besides that, I was actually very surprised, impressed. And it's a bit of a hidden gem. And I think if you like point and click adventures and you like horror. And you like games that you're like, what the fuck?
It's certainly an interesting story, very immersive, and a breadth of voice actors. There's so many different voices, and it didn't seem like it was the same people doing all the voices. So I don't know how many people contributed, but they got a lot of either children or people that sounded like children.
Yeah, they probably got like every fucking dev's kids to jump in there. It to me felt like a labor of love game because it was so weird and so immersed and so dedicated to be what it wanted to be. I feel like I could feel that, and when I was playing, I was like, all right,
it felt like a good game.
Yeah. All right, so I guess I should give reviews out of 10. How my review scale is out of bald bob heads, and it's how enjoyable it is to play in common day, despite how I feel about nostalgia or anything like that. So I'd say it was probably I almost want to give it an 8. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. So fuck it. I'll go ahead and give it an 8. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Like I said, I'll probably never ever play it again. But while I was playing it, I was enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give this game a 7.8 gruntles out of 10.
No, Jim, actually, you determined last time that it's points. And I asked you, what kind
points?
of points?
Yeah, they're gruntle points.
Gruntle points.
Yeah,
okay.
so these are gruntle points.
Gruntle points.
I'll give it what did I say, 7.8?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's probably 7.8.
7.8, okay.
Out of 10. Yeah, I mean, it had some, So it was enjoyable, but there was some serious, like, controls holding it back, right? Yeah. It's hard to tell what you can interact with, which is, common for the era, but still annoying in current day. And the walking was so fucking slow. At least the text was so fucking slow.
One thing I think that we can be happy
but everything
about,
besides that I thought was impressive because we hadn't ever seen it before, played this game before, and I think kind of holds up because it's so well built.
I think one thing we could be happy about in present day, there seems to be a coalescence of the hive mind of what controls should be. And a game like this, now people will be like, what the fuck is up with these controls? It wouldn't happen. We just know, like, certain games have got controls down so well that everyone uses those controls. Yeah, whoever it is, there's pioneers, and they say, we're going to have this control like Diablo or control like whatever. and then people kind of follow. So I think this is the kind of game that if it came out now, the controls would be better. Just because we've learned as a people, so many different people have tried so many different kinds of controls.
Yeah, I don't know if they remastered it, they'd change it all that much.
I think they would change the controls.
I think if the game
I think
came
this is
out today,
that's obvious.
It would be different. Well, I don't know. We're not going to get into what
design
people are trying to accomplish with the remastered version. But
Jim. Well, let me tell you something. Now that we give our thoughts, we want to know what games you want us to play. And if you want to reach out in touch space, send us an email to theboys@cdromp.com and let us know what the game is and what you think and why you want us to play it. And hopefully you'll recommend some of your favorites for us that we haven't covered. Now, Jim, I have a game for you.
Do you?
And I also have a very special note/announcement about it.
Oh, no.
Jim, this is our
Is this a request
first
from a listener?
request
Yeah,
from a
I
listener.
thought it was going to be. Who's it from?
This game comes from Mikey B from the Lou. Okay?
From the Lou?
From the Lou.
What does it mean? What do you mean from the Lou?
From St. Louis, the Lou.
Oh, okay.
Jim, you gotta
I've
learn
never heard
slang.
of that before. The Lou.
And now
I thought
this
it was like
game,
the bathroom.
True. Yeah. Now this game, you probably haven't heard of.
Okay.
I had never heard of it.
Okay.
Near and dear to his heart.
Okay.
Right. And apparently, it's a little different than what you might think the title makes it seem like. Okay. And I found it, and it's on Steam. The only thing you and I are going to have to talk about the original version's on Steam. So it says. There's a gold edition, and then there's a gold HD edition. And I think it's just monitor support. So we'll talk about it, or maybe we'll take a look.
Yeah, we can figure out what the best.
Yeah. But either way, the game is called Majesty, the Fantasy Kingdom Sim. Majesty, the Fantasy Kingdom Sim. And I'll send that over to you.
It doesn't.
It has
it doesn't ring any bells off the name.
It's very highly reviewed.
Okay, that's good.
If you look online, the people that play this game absolutely love it. And I know it has the word sim in there.
That just means simulation. I don't
I
expect
know,
it to,
but I think it doesn't play like a simulation like the Sims or anything like that.
Okay, well, that's, I kind of inferred that by you telling me it doesn't play like how the title makes it
So
sound
if you
like,
want to, if you want to play along with us, or you're just interested in looking up what this is, the full title name is, I'm going to say that again, Majesty, the Fantasy
Kingdom Sim.
But if you're looking it up in Steam, you can put that in, but it comes up as Majesty Gold and Majesty Gold HD.
And it's verified as the proper IP?
Mm-hmm. I verified it. Yep. I looked ahead of time. So that's it.
Bob, you looked ahead of time?
I actually looked before today. I knew, so I knew the name. I had it all ready, and then I didn't know the name.
Totally you knew the name, but you didn't know the name.
Yeah, and I'll also let you know. And Jim, maybe you and I will have to talk about this administratively. I have something I have something I'd like to put to you. Maybe I'll bring it up right now.
Wait. Are you going to bring it up now? Or are you going to bring it up later?
I am going to bring it up right now.
Right,
so I actually have a list of requests.
Wow,
it exists. There is a list.
Wait, from me or from people?
From other
just
people.
From him?
Yeah. And the question is, do you want to be privy to the list, or do you want me to do list requests and you to just do whatever kind of research you do, and that's how we'll interleave them? Because
so I don't know.
Someone has to be reading the request, and either you want to know or you don't want to know. Tell me that.
I don't know yet.
Because you're going to either have to use one of your picks for a request, or
so I don't have a problem doing that, right? I don't have a problem doing that, but I do have a problem with us both knowing what the game is going to be.
So why don't we? And I absolutely have no problem.
Now the problem is that you know what they are.
Yeah, but so why don't I be the keeper of the requests?
Oh, I don't.
And that way you'll be in the dark, unless.
Yeah, I don't dislike that idea on its face.
Yeah.
But behind it is that you don't get any requests of your own, unless you plan on interspersing your own requests.
I'm going to intersperse.
And unprioritizing the viewer requests.
I'm going to intersperse.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's fine.
As I see fit, So yeah,
I think it's important for one of us to not. It's obviously not important, but I think it's important.
Well, whatever
for
we
one of
deem
us,
is important. Yeah.
Yeah, it's obviously not important, but it is for one of us to be surprised about what the game is going to be, just for no particular reason.
Well, there's just because we deemed it, and I do like that as well.
Yeah, as such.
So that's the game. For this next week, I'm going to be doing the research Jim's going to be flying, and then he's going to start on next episode telling us about his experience with the game. And then after that, it'll be another Jim pick. So, Jim, make sure you figure out what the next game is.
I already have a game. Don't worry about that. It's called Majesty.
3000. Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to go to cdromp.com to look through our full back catalog of episodes. Just as a reminder, if you were watching this, you could be just listening. If you were listening, you could be just watching, because we're on all the different podcasting platforms and YouTube. Until next time. It's been a pleasure. We need to figure out a closing line.
Yeah, insert and enjoy.
Okay, until next time, it's been good romping with you. What do you think?
Romp on, Garth.
There you go. Until next time, romp on. And then it closes. And then the music happens. Good night, everybody.